Well, welcome to the Friday edition of Richardson Plano Networkers, and today is Friday, June 18th. Stay connected and thrive, featuring one of our own, Bill Harrison. Bill's going to talk to us today about spiritual entrepreneurship, fulfilling our God ordained destiny. God has a plan for every one of our lives, which is most likely more challenging than our own plans, but also far more exciting and far more rewarding. During today's inspiring event, Bill will begin to guide us through the process of discovering the risks and the rewards of pursuing and fulfilling our unique destiny. Bill Harrison is a spiritual entrepreneur, life coach, author, and public speaker. He currently volunteers his services on a pro bono basis to persons in job transition and or who have otherwise reached a point in life where they are wanting to do something with their lives that will be more meaningful to them and others than what they are currently doing. Having retired in 2010 after had a successful professional career, several in a number of different industries, and enduring several periods of unemployment in the process, Bill is able to help people discover more about who they are and why they are here. That is, what their purpose in life is, and to encourage them to passionately pursue that purpose until it's accomplished. Please join with me in welcoming Bill Harrison to our group today.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Randy did a pretty good job there of telling you where I am, what I'm doing now. Let me tell you a little bit about how I got to where I am today. Uh, my wife, Mary, and I had a challenging, exciting, and adventurous life together for over 53 years that it was based on the joint decision we made very early in our marriage. I think it was right around our fifth wedding anniversary. We made a joint decision to go wherever God led us to go, to do whatever He asked us to do. And as a result of that, we had a life of exciting, rewarding series of adventures. It took us from Texas to Louisiana to Virginia, back to Texas again. And through a series of different careers, if you will, that were far different than what we had anticipated starting out. My wife, for instance, because of that decision that we made, had the opportunity to be the first female marketing professor in the history of Louisiana State University, which was an interesting thing because women were not really accepted that well at that point in time. This was back in 1973. And so we learned from that. She kind of broke the glass ceiling there. She also had the opportunity to be the very first faculty member that was called to help create and start a brand new College of Business at what's now Regent University in Virginia Beach. When we moved back to Texas, she worked for a while as the head of the marketing department up for a firm consulting firm in the telecommunications industry. Worked with AT&T, the Bell systems, and what's now Verizon at the beginning of the cellular phone revolution there. Having done that for a while, she got back into academia again and spent most of the rest of her career doing marketing consulting on the side and then teaching marketing management and global business at Amberton University in Garland, from which she retired in 2007 as professor emeritus. So all of that was possible because we made a decision early my career started in the aerospace industry. I got my degree in that and still love it, still follow it, still fly model airplanes and all that kind of good stuff. But that only lasted about 7 years, and that industry started consolidating, and everybody was buying each other up, or they were going out of business. And so they were laying people off. There were unemployed aerospace engineers on just about every street corner, driving taxis and pumping gas back in the day. Didn't really know what else to do. But we got the opportunity then, after about 7 years after I graduated, for her to start a career, which meant we wouldn't have to move from where I grew up in the Dallas Fort Worth area, to leave our friends, our family, all of our connections, and go to South Louisiana, which was at that time, it was kind of like moving to a foreign country, because things, if you've ever been to South Louisiana, it's a very, very different lifestyle than North Texas. Uh, and it's kind of like what they say about Arkansas, that just about everybody down there is related and goes back 3 or 4 generations and have all sorts of connections with everybody, including the parish sheriffs to keep you out of trouble. So it took us a while to kind of break the ice there and move in. And then the fact that she was a female in what was traditionally a male role made that a little bit difficult as well. I was fortunate enough to be able to get a job with an engineering firm in the industrial commercial construction area, which is big on the lower part of the Mississippi River down there between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And even more fortunate in finding out after about a year of trying to learn on the job how to do structural steel and concrete, as opposed to sheet aluminum, machine steel and titanium and that sort of thing. Working instead of with highly skilled labor force in a factory building airplanes, to a crew of maybe eighth grade educated labor force in a construction on a construction site, some of whom spoke English and are trying to be able to communicate what you were trying to accomplish for the owner to them, and to make that happen. And within about a year, though, I got the opportunity to become essentially a gopher for a project manager, because I was fairly organized at that time, I guess, and they weren't sure what else to do with me. They didn't let me go. They just moved me over to help this guy. And about a year later, all of a sudden, he got another big job and left me with the job he'd had. So I became a project engineer overnight. Uh, and I found out much later, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit, that that's where my strengths really are, is more in dealing with people and teams, organizing teams, working with teams, uh, and my skills more are more in the organizing, leading, and being influential with people, which most people that have with a technical bent are not very good at that. And so the field was pretty wide open for me, and I kind of flourished in doing that. Worked for several different firms in the process. In doing that, uh, in 1998, after I wasn't laid off, my position was eliminated, because the firm was starting to consolidate a little bit, and they didn't feel like they didn't need my services after 14 years. And so I spent my last 11 years working for a firm in doing commercial real estate due diligence, because I had dabbled in that in Virginia, getting a real estate license and trying to do commercial real estate during what turned out to be basically a 1 year period of self employment with zero income, which is one of the reasons we moved back to Texas when we did. At any rate, that allowed me to get a job, though, with a firm that was in the commercial real estate arena, and doing due diligence, which meant I was going out and inspecting properties that I'd been helping design for about the last 25 years. So it was a nice transition. In the process of all of that, what my wife and I found out was that Once we made that commitment to go where God wanted us to go, that He had a much better plan for our lives than what we had originally imagined for ourselves. And we found out that we were capable of doing things that we didn't know we were capable of, and of taking on challenges, of transferring our skill set from one place to another, doing things we hadn't really thought about that much. Uh, as a result of all of that, because over a period of, well, quite a few years, we learned all the hard way that this was the way to go. And so we ended up writing a book about our experiences and things that we learned from it, which we entitled Spiritual Entrepreneurship, Fulfilling Your God-Ordained Destiny. Uh, Entrepreneurship, because it required us to get out of our comfort zone, to leave what we had been doing, what we were comfortable with, the friends and family, people that we knew, and of launching out into unexplored territory, going places, doing things that we had never dreamed of doing, and of accomplishing things we didn't know we were capable of accomplishing because we hadn't tried it, we hadn't even thought about it really. So we wrote that book, um, and what I would like to do is kind of go through a little bit what that process is. So what I like to do in meeting a group is tell them who I am, and then say, ask them, who are you, and why are you here? What is your purpose in life? So my subject in speaking basically goes to purpose. Do you know why you're here? Do you know really who you are, what you represent, what your purpose is? And I've come to believe that each and every one of us has a totally unique set of talents, abilities, skills, and what I call God-given gifts and experience that nobody else on God's green earth has. And there's a reason for that because that particular combination is needed somewhere. And so that's kind of the hope that I try to instill in people that are in job transition at this point, is you're needed somewhere. Your skill set, your experience, who you are, there's a need for that, and you just need to go find out where that is. So it fits in with it. There's a book that's been around for quite a few years now by Richard Nelson Bowles. It's for people that are in the looking for a job. It's called "What Color Is Your Parachute," and it's subtitled "A Practical Manual for Job Hunters and Career Changers." And there's a quote in there that I really like. He said, "What the world most needs from you is not to add to their number, but to figure out and then to contribute to the world what you came into this world to do." And he talks a good bit about knowing who you are, what you're all about, what you enjoy doing, and based on that, what you should be doing, because that's the world needs that because there's nobody else exactly like that. So, uh, what the other thing that we found out with regard to our uniqueness is that our story, the story of our lives, is part of a much bigger story that God is writing. We're one piece of a puzzle that He's putting together out there. And so, to really discover who we are, what our purpose is, we need to take a good look at what the big picture is. Why did God create us in the first place? What's His purpose for us? And the basic idea is that God created us in His own image, in God's image, in order that we could enjoy fellowship with Him and fellowship with one another, and that we can accomplish the purposes that He has for life on earth. Uh, the second thing that we learned, which really kind of changed our whole outlook on life, was that we are all charged with the oversight of what God's created. We're called, if you will, our vocation, our calling is to what I like to consider to be the world's oldest profession. It's not prostitution, it is stewardship. If you remember the story back in the Garden of Eden, God created man and a woman, and he said, hey, here's all this world I've created. I'm putting you in charge of it. I want you to take care of it, to be in charge of the whole thing. So the bottom line of that is that we don't really own anything. Everything, including ourselves, is part of God's creation. And we are just charged with taking care of a portion of it. So everything that we consider to be our possessions is actually a part of God's creation, of God's possessions that have been given a fiduciary charge over, that we're responsible for. And so when we keep that in mind, it does a couple of things. First of all, you're not that worried about what you have or uh, don't have or what you're going to do with it. It's not yours. So your responsibility is to take it, to use it as well as you can. The second part of that is that God always provides everything that we need in order to accomplish that goal. Um, Let me see, where am I? Okay. Uh, and the good news with respect to that is another reason we don't need to worry is that God's resources are unlimited and he will provide us with everything that we need. Uh, Sometime back there, the American psychologist Abraham Maslow postulated that there's a hierarchy of human needs that starts, the lowest level of it is physiological, which is food, drink, clothing, relief from pain. Second is looking for safety and security. Then belongingness or feeling of belonging, having social needs. And then for esteem, self esteem, and then the esteem of others. And ultimately self actualization of fulfilling the maximum use of our potential, of what we can be. And Maslow said that we don't really even think about the upper levels until we have satisfied the lower levels, until we are fed and clothed and not hungry, and we're not that concerned about safety. And then you move on to the next level, and that very few people actually achieve the top level, which is self actualization or actually accomplishing all that you're capable of accomplishing. The good news, from my perspective, and what we learned is that God turns that upside down. He says, if you will make me a priority, if you will look first for the kingdom of God, for this is what I've created, this is what your role is supposed to be in it. If we put that first, that all the rest of that will be added to that, that we will have that, that it will come. And our experience has been that the more that we have utilized what was not given to us, but the opportunities that were given to us, if we took advantage of those opportunities, that whatever we needed to accomplish that or fulfill that was provided. So that's really how you do it. So how do you know what your role, what your purpose is supposed to be? And again, our experience there is that God puts in our hearts a desire for the things that He desires for us. Uh, each one of us has a desire, whether we recognize it or not, for fellowship with God. We have a desire for fellowship with other people, which is one of the reasons why people are flocking to meetings again now that the CDC says it's okay just to be around people. And the other desire that we have is really to fulfill our destiny, to become all that we can be, to provide something, to accomplish something that will have an impact on the world. It will be a legacy for us. Because when we leave, we're not going to take anything else with us. All of our possessions, all of that. We came into this world naked, and that's the way we're going to leave. We're going to leave it all behind. So the only thing we leave behind us is our legacy. There's a couple of tools that we've come across, and this actually is fairly recent. A friend of mine that we co-sponsor, our career transition support group, is now a Gallup certified strengths coach, and so he's really deep into Clifton Strengths. If y'all are familiar with that, it's something that the Gallup organization put together, or they've taken over. They didn't do it initially. That they have come up with a list of 34 strengths which are common among the human race. And then they have an assessment you can take that rank orders all 34 of those for you. And then concentrate on the top 5 of those and say that if you will understand those particular, this is what your strengths really are, this is what you can accomplish the most if you utilize them properly. They concentrate on doing that with you. The second one is something called the Enneagram, which is something that's been around for several hundred years, that talks about 9 different personality types and gives you an assessment as to which ones you tend to be at different points in time. You don't get pigeonholed into one particular one, but there's several of them that you can probably recognize. And what it talks about is based on that personality type. This is the way you tend to react to uh, outside influences on you. When something comes up, something happens to you, you tend to react based on your personality type. So if you get into those and study them a little bit and do the assessments, learn as much as you can about yourself, it really gives you a leg up on being able to accomplish what you're really here for, what you're best at, what your passions are, and of actually contributing what something that the world needs that nobody but you is able to provide. So that's really what that's all about. And again, it's not, it sounds pretty simple, but it's not that easy to do. It really requires patience and perseverance. Or in I guess it's the slogan or the motto of the In the Heights, so the movie that's just currently out, the Juan Miranda thing, which is perseverance and faith. And so if you get into those, uh, again, in our experience, that if you ask God to help you with this, He will explain to you why He created you, what your purpose is, what He's asking you to do, and then will provide everything that you need to accomplish that. So, end of story, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you for your time. Take it away, Randy. By the way, if anyone is interested, I put the link to my website on in the chat box over there. So if you want to look a little bit more about that, see what it's all about, find out if you're interested in getting a copy of the book, it's all up there on the website.
Okay, I'm not seeing, can you hear me? Because
Let's see, hit enter. Did I not show up?
well, I'm not seeing it. David, can you help us out here? You said
There it is. There it is.
There it is.
oh, there,
Technology.
just
Technology.
popped up.
It's great when it works.
Got it.
All right. Questions, comments, cheers, boos.
Well, that's great. Thanks, Bill, for giving us that insight and go ahead and open. I see Randy has his mic open. Go ahead, Randy, if you had any questions or comments.
Well, the comment was I really enjoyed it. You have had a varied career. At times, obviously, a very challenging one.
Yeah.
There have been times of plenty and times of shortage, if you will. And I think a few of us in the room can relate to that. You had said about purpose. You had talked about purpose, and I thought you were going to actually ask everybody on this call if they can state what they think their purpose is.
Well, I don't like to embarrass anybody, but I do in all the groups that I do. I usually put that up on a board. Who are you and why are you here? Why are you using up oxygen? What's your purpose in being here? And it's amazing how few people have really thought about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but we're a different group. David
Yeah.
through the Vision Warrior and some
Right.
other materials that he's sort of made us
Right. Right.
think about
No, I
what our
understand that.
purpose is. You know,
But in general, the general public out there, when you ask them, who are you and why are
right.
you here, they have trouble trying to answer that. And so what I try to do is give them some ways that they can learn a little bit more about that.
One of the things is, Bill, and that people have, they assume that somebody that really has a big job, or they're paid a lot to do something, or they've been successful, that automatically means they understand their, what I call your unique reason. They understand their life purpose, they understand their why, whatever they, however you want to characterize it. I don't care.
Yeah.
The reality of it is, and on my own journey, in transition, I wasn't transitioned because I lost a job. I actually retired from what I was doing for a
Mhm.
reason. So that journey that you work with people on, we've had this conversation before, is extremely important, because when you get disrupted, many times you've evolved in your unique value, your gifts,
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
call them. I tend to take the non, even though I'm a Christian, I take the non biblical no, nomenclature or whatever to say, we each have a unique reason for being on the planet
Yeah.
or in the universe, if you're, and we each have unique value. And you're necessarily, what you monetize probably is an indication of the value you provide, but it's not guaranteed that that's your life purpose. And a
Yeah.
lot of people get confused by that. Can you offer a thought on that?
Well, yeah, a couple of things. I think that a lot of people work at a job that they're good enough at that they can make a decent living, but they hate it. They don't like doing what they're doing. And one of the places we kind of start with people that come in that are out of a job for the first time in a while is uh, to tell them, well, hey, this is a great opportunity for you to kind of reassess where you've come from, what you've been doing. Is that really what you want to do? Is there something else that you have more of a passion for, that if you could get paid for it, you would do it right now? Whether you get paid as much as you've been making, or maybe not be able to make quite as much money, but to enjoy going to work every day rather than saying, "Oh, damn, it's Monday again." Thank God it's Friday. If you're spending all of your time making money so that you can do what you want to do on the weekend, you are wasting about what, 80% of your life. And
Yeah.
so why not find out more about what you probably should be doing, what your purpose really is the way I like to put it. And
Well, there is
enjoy.
a book called The Purpose Driven Life, and I'm
Oh
sure
yeah,
you're familiar with
that's
that.
that's
And
a
there's a
good one.
series.
There's
Um,
another book out there that's quote in my book that's do what you love and the money will come.
right.
Right.
It may not be the same money. It may be, you may be making less, but you're spending less
Right.
on enjoying things because you're enjoying your work. So that's really
Absolutely.
kind of what it's all about. Some of y'all know a real good friend of mine, Terry Maxwell, who has several different organizations that are all focused on purpose. Uh, and I heard one of the earliest ones was called "Succeed on Purpose,"
Right.
and it really speaks to this. And she does a lot of teaching on understanding more about yourself. I picked up quite a bit from her.
Get everything all set?
Oh, hold on. Zips. Who is that?
I don't know.
Oh, anyway. Okay. So,
Somebody's
All
got
set?
on mute.
hey, Bill, I'm gonna interrupt you for a second and let
Oh,
John Moore's been waiting patiently to get on mic, so I'm gonna go ahead and
yeah, sure. Go
ask
right ahead.
John. I think you've
And
made
by the way, I apologize. That was me. I thought I muted my mic. Instead, I just turned off my video. So, uh,
I thought that sounded like you, Randy, but I thought
yeah, I try not to do that. My apologies.
you're like the guy from Egypt that kept popping in trying to get our attention. Okay, so all right, John Moore, go ahead.
I just wanted to compliment Bill on what a unique perspective. He said the world's oldest profession, and of course, in the secular culture, we all think of one thing, but the world's oldest profession really is stewardship, and that gave a really a new perspective on life and what I'm doing. And the other thing too is that I think one of the things that you said was the key principle that you operate from, that we all need to operate from, is to seek first the kingdom of God. So whatever we're doing, be it with what I do with Legal Shield, or one of my other passions is to write a book about Texas counties, and just having to doing whatever I can do to how does that glorify God? Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and the idea of seek first the kingdom of God, if you really study what that is, that's not pie in the sky by and by. That is right here, right now. Jesus said the kingdom of God is in your midst; it's around you. And what he talked about was a society where everybody looked out for everybody else, where everybody valued everybody else as being of equal value to them, and of the kind of society that we really all want. And so, what it's all about really is if we all took that approach and did whatever we can do to try and make that more of a reality. I mean, it's here. There are people that are living in that kind of atmosphere. I am. I feel uh, I'm enjoying life now as much as I ever have before. And I worked the last few years of my life with my wife and I putting money away to be able to do what I'm doing now without having to charge for it. So I'm not looking to create an audience in order to, create a revenue stream. I'm just trying to find people that are interested in finding out what they're really all about and what they really have to contribute to society that nobody else does exactly the way that they do. And it's great. I've enjoyed the last 10 years tremendously
I love it.
as a
Yeah.
result of that.
I love it, Bill. And the thing is that you point out here, there's a number of things um, that the again, attribution and truth are two separate things.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, generally speaking, that the truth that you have shared, the one that we were just talking about, seeking first
Mm-hmm.
the kingdom of God, if you aren't prepared or you don't understand the attribution of this world that we're in as something that God has created or whatever, that still doesn't change the truth of the fact that we all, and you started out here, and I'll translate, into what I would call non-Christian
Yeah.
terms, is that we all need a connection. I don't care what your
Yeah.
business, I don't care what your situation is. I don't care if you're in transition or you're in a job or you're running a company or what you're doing. We all need that connection to a higher purpose. If
Mm-hmm.
we are only connected to our needs, and you back to your other point about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then we're at the bottom of the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
And you ultimately have to get to the top to find a thing we all seek, whether we realize it or not, which is joy. We all want to wake up in the morning and be excited that God woke us up or the universe woke us up on
However
that
you want to
day.
phrase it, yeah. There's And if you look at world religions, or just people that claim to be spiritual but not religious, or everybody out there is really looking for the same thing. We just have different terminology for it, and we sometimes get into fights with each other over the terminology rather than the actual content of what we're talking about.
Right.
Everybody would like to have a world where we're at peace, where you're safe on the streets, where everybody that you meet smiles at you rather than cursing at you or throwing rocks or whatever. Everybody wants that, and that's really what it's all about. And that's what our purpose really is to do our best to help bring that about.
Right.
That's really kind of the bottom line. What you do to earn a living in the meantime goes more to really what you're good at and what your passions are, what you enjoy.
Right. Exactly.
I think
Randy,
that's part of it as well, is enjoying it.
Yeah. Randy, did you have something else?
Yeah, just quick, Bill. Great
Yeah.
talk. I really enjoyed it. I got the link to spiritual entrepreneurship. I'll peruse that, and I just want to apologize. As we talked, I got to leave now for my root canal, and
Enjoy.
Well, hopefully this was a lot better than a root canal, Randy.
Yeah.
this is a lot better.
We're glad you
giving
got to
me.
spend this positive time before you.
That's right. This is giving me the faith and confidence to
One
bear
thing
through the.
you may or may not enjoy is on the website up there. There's a number of blogs up there about things that are maybe a little bit different perspective on things than what you've seen before. So.
All right, appreciate it. All right, I got to run. Cheers.
Thanks,
Yeah. All
Randy.
righty. Good luck.
Bill mentioned strengths finders. What was the other tool that you talked about?
I'm sorry?
You mentioned strengths finders. What was the other tool that you talked about?
It's called the Enneagram, Enneagram.
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 Is that posted? Is that in the chat?
No, I didn't put it in there, but I mean, if you Google it, there's a number of books out there, because that's been around for hundreds of years. Different people have different perspectives on it, but they're all pretty similar. And there's at least 2 or more websites. And by the way, the other one, if you Google Clifton Strengths or Strengths Finder.
I've done strength finders before.
Okay, all righty. And if you're interested, I can put you in touch with Mike Shaw, who's my co-host on our career transition group, that will give you an hour's worth of time explaining what you can do with your top 5. So if you're interested in that, shoot me an email and I will get his contact information to you.
One more time, because I can't write fast enough. Tell me the name of the other tool.
He's going to put it in the chat, John.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, thoughts? This is really good. This is kind of what the format is. Bill, you don't even, where we're going and stuff. These are going to be much more interactive, and we'll have a core content, core message, if you will, and then the part that is valuable is the questions, the observations, the things that add to the show, if you will. Let's see. Anybody else? Luke, you want to go ahead and open your mic? Yeah. By the way, just open your mic if you're wanting to talk at this juncture, and I can see that, and I'll call on you. So, John, I'm going to mute you, and Luke, you're up.
Bill, just appreciate your input, especially loved hearing about your history, especially, of course, Louisiana, being a Louisiana State alumnus.
Oh, really?
Yes. Go Tigers. And a friend of mine's mom actually was I believe in administration within the history department. I think she was still there back in the 70s. I might be wrong. I'll have to check with them. But
73 to 82.
Okay. And he ended up there afterwards. but anyhow, wanted to, I'm trying to remember if it was Dave. Do you say purpose-driven life, or is that someone else that says that?
Well, there's a book called
Purpose-Driven Life, but I've heard it before on some of these networking events, and I was trying to remember if you had used it before, and in the networking piece of things. But I think we lose sight of it, right? When we use the whole term purpose-driven life. I think, Bill, you've got it more accurate. If you can have a purpose-driven life, but if your purpose is not set to where you're doing what you're meant to do, then you'll be absolutely miserable the whole time you're doing it, right? And I know that I had success in my previous life as a account manager doing healthcare staffing, but it didn't necessarily mean that I was happy doing it either. Until I switched into becoming a financial advisor. So I 100% wholeheartedly agree with you that if you're not doing what you love, then even if you're making less money and you're happy doing it, you're going to be miserable and wealthy. What's the point?
Well, you can just look at TV, movies, anything else you want to look at there, and you can see how many people that are fabulously rich that are really very unhappy.
Absolutely miserable, in fact. Yeah.
And maybe not even knowing why, but that's what it really goes to is, that's another thing that we talk about with people is what's your passion? What do you really, what really turns you on thinking about, or that you would like to help. And, some people it's, animal rescue or whatever it might be. And to be quite blunt about it, that's part of the challenge of stewardship, is to take care of the whole creation. That includes the animals, the plants, the rivers, the streams, the whole environment, if you want to get to that. And I don't want to get into a big political discussion, but that's part of what we're charged with. And because we have been charged with that responsibility, we're going to be held accountable one day for how we handle it. The part that that's assigned to us, if you will. By the way, one other thing I might mention, purpose is not a once for all kind of thing. It evolves, if you will, over your lifetime. There's a point in life where a large part of your purpose is being, a husband and a father and taking care of your kids and whatever else it might be, as well as whatever your job responsibilities are. I faced a pretty severe test here 3.5 years ago when my wife passed away. And I've ended up writing another book about that of, why am I still here? What's my purpose now? Because for 50 something years, everything that we did, we met it, we discussed it, had a joint decision on this is what we're going to do. And then all of a sudden I'm left without her. So, and part of it in the latter years there was providing help for her in healthcare, if you will. And then just like that was gone. So what's my purpose now? And what it's evolved into is doing what I'm doing. Right now I've got more freedom to, schedule my time how I want to schedule it, to go where I want to go, to do what I need to do, to go wherever I'm called to go, if you will. So that purpose has evolved. So that's something, it's not, hey, I found it, this is it. It's this is what my purpose is right now. And that's why I think you have to keep evaluating where you are, what you're doing, and how you're doing with it, and how satisfied you are with what you're doing.
Precisely. Any other questions, comments? We got about 5 minutes. I did the announcements ahead of time, so just for a reminder for folks tonight, I'll give Ricky Jean's announcement. He's off camera, and I think he's got somebody blowing insulation into his house. So, but tonight he'll be with the Dallas Songwriters Association at Porta de Roma. It's not official group, but as an opportunity, you'll probably see me there and some other folks. So if you're just looking to get out and bring your significant other or bring yourself and kind of hear music and eat great food, encourage you to show up at Porta de Roma in Richardson and check out Ricky Jean. Mondays we have our weekly mixer. I originally called it mini mixer. Somebody said, no, this is a legit mixer. In today's context, even people who are doing quarterly mixers, for example, Rick Rawson does a quarterly mixer. He had about the same number of people at the quarterly mixer that we have periodically on our weekly mixer at RP Networkers. So it's again, people are starting to ramp up, but it's still very intimate. So Mondays is always there, 6:30 to 8:30, again at Porta de Roma. On Wednesdays, we had 17 people in the room last Wednesday, and about 12, 14, I guess, on Zoom. So it was over 30, but the balance is shifting, but we're still going to be available on Zoom for those that want to connect with us. And then we're doing this on Friday. And as I said, next Friday, Randy left, but Randy Sablick is going to be on stage. I'll actually be kind of introducing him and facilitating the conversation, which will be a conversation similar to this, but it will be very structured around basically going forward and using the tools and the capabilities that we have and doing some assessment of where we're at. But Bill, let's give Bill another hand. Bill, I really, really, really appreciate you sharing with the group.